Welcome to Living Martial Arts with Master Ray Gale, aka the Dark Master. Living Martial Arts discuss and examines the everyday exercise, philosophy, and lifestyle of the martial arts enthusiast. The host talks about his own training, past and present, and he also interviews many martial artists to discover how they continue to live their own martial arts journey. Tune in for top tips on how to get the best out of your martial art. Or perhaps you're thinking of starting a martial art. This podcast offers you an easy way to dip your toe in. Sign up for the newsletter at livingmartialarts.com and get regular updates and training tips direct to your inbox. Follow the Dark Master on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Living Martial Arts.
Hi, and hello to the Living Martial Arts podcast fans. It's me, the Dark Master, back with another episode on my podcast. I've got a fantastic guest with me today, somebody that I actually contacted a long time ago, and he's the courtesy of coming back to me after such a long time, and it's such a pleasure to chat to Mr. Sandy Holt. So how are you, sir? How are you doing?
Well, first of all, good morning, Ray. This is an absolute pleasure because I'm going to throw back a question very quickly to you. When did we first meet? I'm curious as to when.
I think it was myself and my colleague, Mark Ogborn. We used to come up to Master Sken's Thai boxing shows, going way back. I can't even remember how long ago it was because he asked us to do a couple of taekwondo demonstrations there in the ring. And I think we met then, but to put a year on it, I don't really know, to be honest. But I remember, you had quite a reputation then of a really good Thai boxer on the scene, and I remember seeing you and thinking, wow, I was quite in awe, actually, to be quite honest, because a lot of people were talking about you.
God bless you. Well, first of all, thank you very much. And I do remember, and I can think back now to where it was, because you used to do the sketch, with what's the tall guy that you?
Well, yeah, myself and Mark Ogborn. We've been friends.
Yes, sorry, yeah. And what was the sketch? It was like was it a Frank Bruno or something? Who's it? What did you do?
Yeah, it was basically I used to do this takeoff of Chris Eubank.
Chris Eubanks, of course, that was the one.
That's right, in the ring, and Master Sken thought it would be really good on the bill, so we came in and did that. And I still work with Mark. We've been friends since we were 8 years old.
Wow.
We're now in our 60s.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, so, we still, in fact, we're away abroad next week together. So. Just doing some training and some teaching. So yeah, it's good. It's nice to have lifelong friends to share your passion. And I remember those demos because at that time Master Sken was still doing his very impressive demos, and it was really good to watch as well. We sort of thought, crikey, we got to follow that.
I remember you saying that actually at the ring. You said, "Have we got to follow this?" But the thing is, it's very unique what you did, and I hadn't seen anything like that before because it was like a spoof, like you said, Chris Eubank, and obviously, you got little and large, and honestly, you guys, I mean, to come into like a Muay Thai thing with them. I mean, I don't know if you know, but Master Sken, the Grandmaster Sken, still I regard as being my teacher, and he always will be. I first started with him in 1977. Muay Thai came here actually in 76, 77. Yeah. Plus the three masters, the main masters, obviously Grandmaster Sken, my teacher, Grandmaster Woody, and Grandmaster Toddy. They're the famous three, as they say. And they arrived in the UK in 76, and beginning of 77, that's when actually the three of them then decided to teach Muay Thai. But there was a little bit of controversy at the start because Master Toddy arrived here first, and he said his words were, and bear this in mind, they all did taekwondo as well.
Yes, I know. Yeah,
in Thailand. So they were all Grandmaster Sken fifth dan, I think Master Toddy, Master Woody fourth dan taekwondo on top of the Muay Thai. Yeah. And when they arrived, Master Toddy said, to Master Woody and Master Sken that UK and England are not ready for Muay Thai. It's too tough. It's too brutal. It's too hard. But because the world can do Taekwondo, and Muay Thai is very niche, which it is, and I suppose you could say it still is to a degree. They felt that not because they felt we were soft as such, but their words were, I don't think they're ready for this. So Master Toddy started teaching Taekwondo with a little bit of Muay Thai in there. Master Sken didn't disagree per se, but he just said, no, I think we should try, and I think we should give them a go. And I'm going to go from the get-go with Muay Thai. Anyway, the rest is history. So, Master Toddy, did it. So did Master Woody. And I was very fortunate that in that year, it was the back end of the year though, 1977. I'll never forget it because I've got the date. I started it on November the 17th in 1977. And that's when I first met Grandmaster Sken. And I actually met him. I had Thailand come to me. He was teaching in Bolton. So he landed in my lap. So I was actually doing martial arts at the time. I started martial arts in 74, the Bruce Lee boom. So I'll admit it was Bruce Lee that got me into it because, I like everybody back then, he was a phenom and he still is. So let's say it as it is. The guy set this stall out and he changed the world, didn't he?
He did, yeah, he did. I think, and also, I mean, myself, I remember I was speaking to someone recently. I was watching, we were sneaking into the cinema watching because they were 18 rated at the time. We were just slightly underage, so we used to sneak in to watch these movies, and I mean, I think it inspired so many people up and down the country. And going back to what you said about Thai boxing, I remember the first time I saw it, and I'd been doing Taekwondo. I thought, wow. I remember going in the change rooms afterwards and seeing these guys, and they were sort of sitting slumped on a chair, thinking, "Man, they've taken some punishment." And it did inspire me. I thought to myself, at the time, I thought to myself, if I was up country, I would love to have a go at this because there wasn't really any Thai boxing down in the southwest at the time. I don't think there's much now, to be quite honest with you.
Sorry, actually, it is. No, it's actually grown. I mean, what's interesting as well, Ray, is that obviously London being the capital, and London always gets the first hit with everything. Whether it's music, whether it's film stars, whatever. London is the capital, so the same of any country. So it's going to hit that. If you mentioned Japan, you mentioned Tokyo. You mentioned France, you mentioned Paris. So it's London, isn't it? We were very fortunate that the three masters arrived in the northwest of England, of the U.K. was Bolton, Manchester, and Oldham. So, and what happened is it grew from there outwards, and they did, all three of them collectively took it to the rest of the U.K. As far as Scotland, right the way down to the Bournemouth at the bottom, and London, etc. And I think there was a couple of Thai teachers in London as well who wasn't quite as prolific at the time, who taught only like private students, so they didn't really do as you probably know, the flamboyancy of Grandmaster Sken and Toddy and Woody, they showcased it, as you said, about the demonstrations, which were just phenomenal. I got to martial arts shows way back in the in the 70s because obviously it was a massive boom to start the Bruce Lee era, and nobody had heard of Muay Thai. I didn't even know what it was because I've been doing a little bit of Taekwondo. I was testing. I was doing what a lot of people did back then. I'm sure you did. What suited you and what suited me and suited us all individuals. Because there's no such thing as a bad martial art. Only a bad martial artist is my saying. And all the martial arts were good. So I was doing karate at the time, jiu-jitsu, and I was trying a few of the different styles, like Wado, Shotokan, Taekwondo, Kung Fu. I tried a few of them. And there was actually a lot more martial arts around already. And that were doing tremendously well. But it was still quite an underground thing. And like I said, when the Bruce Lee thing happened and at the movies and everything, that's when it just suddenly became, people really picked up on it, didn't they? And everyone then sort of, scuttled off to all these different martial arts schools to then find the Bruce Lee way. And Bruce Lee obviously studied different martial arts, as we know. So November the 17th in Bolton, I walked into a It was actually a basement of a church in Bolton.
Yeah.
It was very ahead of its time. It was not Thai, T-A-I, just, which is a form of jiu-jitsu. And a guy was teaching it there called Jack McEwen. And he invited Master Sken down from Manchester to come and do a couple of classes a week, one on a Thursday afternoon and one on a Saturday afternoun. And I used to work at a company called Warburton's, which is a bread delivery company. I started,
remember it well.
and I started from the age of 15, and that's when I started martial arts. Excuse me. So, I just saw an advert in the paper, Bolton News, and it just said, "Come and learn the devastating kicks from Thailand, Muay Thai." And I thought, I've never even heard of this. There was only one book out in the whole of the United Kingdom that you could get on Muay Thai. And that was from Danny Connor's place, Oriental World in Manchester, which I used to go to every weekend. Yeah. And I remember, and after that, I bought this book. But anyway, so I walked into this room. I'm in there thinking, I wear my brown belts and I wear my karate outfit, to try and impress. Yeah. Walked into a room, and my first visual, this is very much, I've actually hairs are standing up on, you can see that. Look, hairs are standing up on my arms, on my neck now. I walked into the room, Grandmaster Sken stood there, just a pair of shorts, no top on, which I'm thinking, and a pair of tie shorts with some ankle supports. And some bag gloves. And there's a punch bag at the bottom of the room. And this room's quite advanced for its time. It was padded. There was a canvas floor with the foam underneath, a bit like a boxing ring. And then there was a bag halfway down. So there's two punch bags. You can imagine it, canvas floor, padded. And then there's a guy sat in the far right-hand corner, just him and him, an Iranian guy. And he's got a pair of shorts on, a pair of ankle supports on, and he's smacking his shin with a piece of wood.
Yeah.
And I'm like, didn't know what to make of it. A couple of other guys turned up from the Taijutsu. They had the gis on and the belts, the resident students from the club. And there was only probably about 10 or 12 of us there. And he come over to me, Master Sken, and he did this bow, which, and I normally do, like the karate bow, And so I sort of went, and he just went, so I thought, and he couldn't speak English. He could only speak about 3 or 4 words of English, and I couldn't speak Thai. So everything was done basically on visual, and body language. So he sort of like asked me, just like showed me where to come in and stand. And while we're waiting for the students, he decides to do his own little warm up, and he starts belting this bag with roundhouse kicks like I haven't. I mean, bear in mind, I've seen pretty much all the martial arts there was. I've seen all the movies. I've watched Bruce Lee, so I thought no one else could impress me. And I've seen some amazing Taekwondo masters, that could do these massive, crazy kicks. I've seen it all. Well, not seen it all, but I've seen a lot. And all of a sudden, I've seen this guy leathering a punch bag, which you don't usually see in martial arts. Because a lot of martial arts are full contact, and it's absolutely cracking this bag. And I'm just like a wide mouthed frog. I'm just like that. And then next thing he does, and he's kicking it with his shin, which I've never seen. It's always the feet. Then he steps back towards the back of the room, takes a run up, flying side kicks this first bag, and carries on, and it's the second bag, but a good 6, 7, 8 feet further down. So he just like jumped up, kicked off the first bag, and went to the second bag. I was like, I've never seen anything like it in my life. And then he starts boxing it, elbowing it, kneeing it. And I'm sat at the back of this hall, just my mind has blown. I've just met a living Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And that's how it all started.
Well, it's incredible. I mean, there are a few things I want to unpack there. Was that it's interesting what you said, that you go into a martial arts dojang, whatever you want to call it. Because I started with karate and I did enjoy it, but there were some big guys there, and I was I'm still small now, but I was tiny. So I remember thinking, I got hurt every lesson, but I did love it. But then I remember seeing a poster with somebody flying through the air, and it was a taekwondo pose, because Master Ree, obviously who introduced taekwondo to the country. He was trying to spread ITF around the UK. So I went along to this it wasn't a demonstration, it was a class actually. And the thing that got me started was there was quite a few small guys there. And I thought, yes, that's what I got to do. But they were sort of jumping in, spinning, and it was traditional ITF Taekwondo. And I thought, actually, I think I could be good at that. So that was what it was. So I think something like that sparks your interest. But I don't know about you at the time. What I loved about martial arts, because prior to that I was into football. I love football, and I played at quite a high level in the end. But I love football. But what I loved about the martial arts was the physicality of it. I love the training. I'm going to do 10 more press ups than I did last week. I'm going to do some squat thrusts. I'm going to do burpees. And I came out of there. I just felt on a high. It was just like taking a drug. It was unbelievable. So I don't know what kept you in it. What I know you said about what drew you to it, but what kept you there?
That's a really good question. Whilst doing the other martial arts, I must have been searching for what I was looking to do at the time, because there's a plethora of martial arts, isn't there? There's thousands of different styles and different types of martial arts. And whilst the first 3 years before I started Muay Thai, I was probably looking for what, like yourself. I mean, I'm only 5'5", 5'6".
Yeah, same.
We're never going to get any taller, are we? And I thought, and because at the time the Bruce Lee, I think he's only about 5'7".
Yeah.
He's seen this small guy do something what you think only big guys can do, because he can produce power from a small physicality of a person against somebody who's taller. And I thought, is there any such thing in the world that can do this? And it turns out that there is, and it's martial arts. But I think during that time when I was doing all these different martial arts, I was looking for something, and then suddenly I found it. And I think once you find something, you either follow it through or you don't. And I'm one of these people that probably like yourself, where I'm dedicated, I'm loyal, I've got good discipline. It's the way I was brought up. I was very blessed with my parents. Like yourself, I lost my parents, but two very, very solid parents, very good upbringing. They're my best teachers, along with Grandmaster Sken I could hope for. So I've had three of the best teachers in my life: my mum, my dad, and Master Sken. And strangely, the way that Master Sken is, because he's a Buddhist, and I'd like to just say this: that Buddhism is not a religion; it's a way of life.
Yeah.
And my mum and dad had a way of life which was about being polite, being respectful, your manners. My mum always said, and this is what resonated with me. I know I'm going off slightly off of a tangent here.
No, you go for it. I agree with everything you've said so far, by the way, about my parents. My parents were very much the same, but carry on.
God bless them. And my mum always used to say when I was a child growing up, and she'd say, if you do good will come back to you. And if you do bad will come to you. And this was the basis of how my life was created through Thai boxing as well. And Master Sken, because in Buddhism, we all know the word karma. Karma works both ways. It works for good, works for bad. So you do bad karma, you get bad karma. You do good karma, you get good karma. So I just felt that there was a lot of connections with Muay Thai, because with it being one of the toughest, and it is still regarded as the top of the tree of the martial arts, because it is the hardest stand-up striking system in the world, because everything works. I like its simplicity. I'm not a clever guy. I was never academically good at school. I stayed in school as long as I could, but I actually left school a year early because I was getting bullied to death for 3.5 years. Which I could talk now for another hour about that, which I'm not going to. I'll just touch on that. But that's what led me to martial arts. Had I not been bullied as badly as I was at school, because, like I said, I'm 5'5", 5'6". I was the smallest. I was also the youngest in the school. I had red hair. It's not like now, I know. Freckles, I've still got. So I was a ginger-haired, freckled, tiny little so-and-so, just like everyone else would be, whether it's your skin color, whether you were fat or with spots or you were thin. They didn't need a reason, at school. Bullying, just, it's systemic. It's horrible. It's how you deal with it. I lost a guy at another school. He went to a secondary school. He committed suicide from being bullied. I was fortunate. I turned it round. Excuse me. So I thought, you know what? I need to do something about this. And that's when, you know, I found martial arts. So it's given me so much. I'm on a mission from the day I started till, like you said earlier, before we came on the Zoom. I'm going to do. Somebody said, "When are you going to retire, Sandy?" I went, "What is retirement?"
Yeah.
I will die kicking. I hope I will never retire like yourself. I might slow down slightly, but I'm not going to retire. So there are so many things to this that keep me here. The list is endless. It's endless.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think you know, I resonate with a lot of that, as I mentioned, you know, about my parents, particularly my mother, who was very, very. She said, you know, her thing was, you know, I think particularly in the 50s, because you had a lot of the West Indian parents that came to the country, who had a Christian background, and they were very, very strong on discipline, treating people, saying please, thank you, and so on. And my mum was really, you know, we sat down at the table, we didn't touch our food until we said grace. We asked to leave the table, everything, and it was at the time, sometimes, particularly when you know, I was to tell my mates, it was a bit embarrassing, but actually it set me up really well for life. And I'm sure you'll probably agree with this. You know, when I had employment, proper employment, if you want to call it that, as I call it, not a job that I love, something that I love. I don't call this a job anyway, but
I know. I call it a jobby.
Yeah.
It's a hobby and a job.
When I was working, and I did have a job, you know, I always made sure I gave it my best shot, and I did what, you know, gave 100%. So
it's solid ethics, and you know, everything you're saying here now, it's just it resonates again with me. But as my parents, exactly like yours, and I've got one of a really good friend of mine, a good student called Philip Nurse. Do you know him? Do you remember him?
Don't remember him. No.
Right. I'll just give you a quick background. Phil came to me. I opened my first class in 1983.
Yeah.
Okay, at the Bolton Sports Centre, which is where we had some of the Thai boxing shows. You might have come to one of those, actually.
Yeah.
And Phil walked into my gym, and he was a very keen five-a-side footballer. He was a break dancer. And we actually met on a dance floor in a nightclub called Benny's. And I used to love dancing. I've always done dancing. I used to be a Northern Soul dance champion as well. So I just love the rhythm. I love, you know, and there's a lot of connection with dance and martial arts, as we know. And I'm one of the few white guys that's got a little bit of rhythm. But I picked it up off my Jamaican and Barbadian friends, you know, Bajan friends. And his parents are from Barbados. They moved here in the 50s, and they had Phil he was born in Bolton, and Phil became one of my best students, and he became one of my best friends. He now lives in New York, and he runs what's called the WAT, W-A-T, which means in Thai, it means the temple.
Okay.
Like a temple in Thailand. Phil's trained some UFC fighters. George St. Pierre, world UFC champion.
Yeah.
Jones, very controversial, John Jones, but he's trained in stand-up, obviously. And Phil, like myself, won 3 titles. It's in different weight divisions. And we used to go out together, eat together, train together, fight together around the world, different things. And his parents were just like my mum and dad, married the whole life, very, very good principles, lovely manners. And Phil brought up in that way. You know, the mum religious, she still goes to church. And they just lovely grounding, and my mum and dad were just exactly the same as them. So how he's turned out, he's inspired thousands. He's still teaching now, and he's 60, 61, 62. He's still phenomenally fit. He's still teaching fighters. He's still got the same ethic, and there's just something remarkable about it, that this tradition that you've got from your parents that you've carried on, and that's made you who you are and who I am. And it's good that we've not let go of this. And I think it's good to spread that word. And, you know, I remember sitting at the table, and we could not get up. We couldn't leave the table till we'd finished our food, and we'd say, please, can I leave the table? You couldn't have, I know we didn't have mobile phones back then, but you couldn't have a comic or a newspaper, or you couldn't be doing something. You know, we all sat there, very traditional, very disciplined, but equally, you know, we had our, you know, my mum didn't like me fighting in Thai boxing. She hated it. Excuse me. And I actually, this is a true story. I had 21 fights, professional fights. My mum didn't come to one of them.
Yeah.
She'd say to whoever, so like, well, she actually, ironically, to Phil Nurse, she'd say to Phil, will you ring me and let me know how he's gone on?
Yeah.
And when Phil fought, his dad actually came to, I think he had about the same number of fights as me. I think he came to every one but one. And it's like that. His mum wouldn't come to the fights. And she used to say to her husband, called Henderson, Hendy, she'd say, Hendy, you ring me, tell him how Philip did. I want to know how he's okay. And honestly, and she said, Sandy, look after Philip for me, please. And I said, Mrs. Nurse, I said, it goes without saying. And what a lovely family and what a lovely guy. And, you know, this is something, a lot of it is from our grounding. And, you know, and this again connects with Master Sken, how he is as a person and, you know, a Buddhist, you know, but devastating on the other end of that. You know what I mean? You know, you don't mess with people like this, but, you know, they never misuse it. You know, Master Sken, I've never seen him ever. And I've known him for, well, obviously 77. What's that? I'm in my, excuse me, let's work this out. 77. So that's 46 years, 47 this year that I've known him, and I've never known him to misuse his martial art or act. You know, I've never seen him drunk. I've never seen him with a cigarette in his mouth. He's never took drugs. In fact, you know, this is a true story. I've never heard him swear.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well,
my mum and dad used to say, sorry to interrupt me, mum and dad used to say this, and I'll never forget this, and you'll get this. There's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah. I tell you what, it is interesting because when I came up to myself and Mark came up to meet Master Sken, he was always very gracious, always incredibly gracious. One of the things we noticed about him was how polite and gracious he was. That was something that immediately struck us, and that was really nice as well because you know, obviously we were sort of going into a slightly different vibe, different atmosphere, but it was nice. I mean, coming back again to a couple of things, we were living parallel lives because although I started sort of teaching for my instructor in 79, I also, myself and Mark, we opened our first school in 83, actually, as it happens, in Bath. Yeah, we opened it together. And the other thing is that I was also a break dancer as well.
Yeah. Come on.
I loved breakdance. I still love it to this day. Like I get the kids sometimes doing it in the class.
Well, you did a couple of moves like that when he hit you, and the thing you sort of went.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
after he hit you, didn't you? You was doing a bit of dance move. Part of the thing was a bit of dancing, wasn't it? In that.
That's right. Yeah, we put exactly. Yeah, we put that into our little thing. So.
Brilliant.
But no, they're great days. It's funny actually because. I would say that going back to when I started, Taekwondo and Thai boxing had a lot of similarities, and obviously it's kicking, it's punching, usual stuff. But back then, when I first did my first tournaments, I mean, we didn't really wear safety equipment, and we actually did a lot of body conditioning with Makawara boards, and we used to hit wrists against wrists, and and condition our body very much like Thai boxers. They don't do it now because everybody wears safety pads and whatever.
Yeah, it's been watered down tremendously. I mean, the original Taekwondo that you did. Yeah, really. I mean, I don't know. We don't get into the political, the ITF, the WTF, whatever. The original stuff that came from Korea was pretty hardcore karate, wasn't it? Let's face it.
It was.
And obviously, with it getting into the Olympics and stuff, it's like amateur boxing in the Olympics. It's been watered down, tenfold. You'll know this because you did it right at the root cause, at the root time, and when it came here, and when it came here with the Korean masters, the masters. So you got the authenticity and you got the originality from how it is and how it should be. Yeah, we've seen massive changes.
Yeah. There was a lot. I mean, we used to, sit in stance or horse stance, smacking each other's forearms, and somebody standing there, and just kicking each other in the midsection over and over again, just doing body conditioning, how to take a hit and stuff like that. And it was great. I really enjoyed it. And I used to come home a little bit bruised sometimes. And my mum used to say, "Oh, you're not going to go back, are you?" I said, "Yeah, I love it.
That's exactly the same what my mum said. I used to come home, black eye, big lumps on my shin. And, you know, every day she'd say to me, do you really want to keep doing this? And for as much as my mum, you know, like your parents, very staunch, you know, very, you know, they had this thing where, for as much as a lot of parents want you to do what they want you to do, they had this thing was, you know, do what you want to do. And, you know, as long as it's not illegal or you're hurting anyone, carry on. But my mum could never understand it because she don't understand why people want to hit each other. So so this is what, and it was quite funny. I'll tell you a little interesting story. I remember I was fighting this guy, and we used to always get the video off, obviously, after the fight. You know, somebody film it, they always did. And like I said, my mum would not come to the fights. I wouldn't want her there, I'll be honest with you. I didn't like the pressure. In the whole 21 fights, there was only one time when I've got 3 brothers as well. None of them do martial arts. I think I do it for them all. And my mum come to me once, and she never ever did anything like this. And she said, Sandy, she went, you know, you don't want any of us there. I know you don't. I won't go, she said. You've never let your dad or your brothers watch you. And I know they've not asked you, but do you not think, you know, and it really it did, I keep using that word, resonated, but when she said to me, your dad and I won't be around forever, and dad's always wanted to watch you fight, but you've not let him. And I said, well, I've never mentioned it, but I've always just made it out that I don't want a girlfriend there. I don't want the extra pressure. I don't need it. And I don't want to, also, just in case something went wrong or if I got beat up or whatever, you don't want to see your parents and your loved ones and your brothers and your girlfriend or whatever seeing you get smashed up in a ring. So I took that, I eliminated that pressure. I removed it. And I always said, you can always watch it later. It's always going to be recorded. So people were pretty satisfied with that. Anyway, jumping forward, I had this fight. I guess the video, takes it in. My dad always watched them. A couple of my brothers, one or two of my brothers might watch, they might not. They weren't really interested anyway. I wasn't bothered whether they was or not. So I'd take the video, put it in there. We'd sit around in the living room. My dad would sit there on the edge of the couch with his brew, watching like this. You know, I always think that's my son. You know, but he's not one of these. My dad, he was never. It's a quiet man. My dad, very, very quiet. Didn't say very few things. When he did, it was very profound. I'm sure, like probably like your father, yeah. Anyway, so he'd just sit there quiet with his cup of tea, he'd watch it, maybe one brother. And my mum would come in and out bringing brews and sandwiches and stuff. It was always like a mini cinema or something. And she'd be behind the couch. She'd never sit down and watch it. So anyway, she'd come in and she'd be like this behind the couch looking. The first 2 rounds, I was getting battered, Ray, right?
Yeah.
And my mum's going, oh, he's hitting you. He's hurting you. Oh, just like this. And she's going, oh. And I went, Mum, this is last week now. You know, this was last Saturday. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm all right. I've not got anything broken. I'm not battered. And so she's like, oh. Anyway, she disappears out because she didn't like it. She comes back in sort of halfway through round 3. And I'm getting the upper hand now.
Yeah.
And I ends up because one of the things I was not noted for was my fitness.
Yeah.
So I basically just wore him down. I just round 3, 4, and 5, the guy couldn't keep up, and I just went on to demolish this guy by just the amount of volume of stuff that I threw. So because of my fitness, so she's like, yeah, and then she then says she watches the end of round 3, watches round 4. Then said, listen to this. She then goes, "You're hurting him. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "You've just said." Last round, I'm getting hit and she doesn't like to see it. No, she doesn't like to see me hitting him. Yeah. I said, Mum, you need to stop watching these fights. You're not getting it, you know, honestly. And I'll never forget, God bless her, the funniest things she'd ever said. And even my dad's turning around with his cup of tea and he's like, my dad's called John, but they called him Jack for some reason. Yeah. And my mum's called Mary. And my dad goes, Mary, let's go in the kitchen and make a cup of tea or something. It's just like this, watching it, you know, like yeah. So go. Anyway, sorry. After
no, that's all. Mums. Well, while we're on, you know, the fighting in your competitive career, and I must say, I mean, again, you were, and I knew this as well because I very much wanted to be in the same vein. You were known for your conditioning and your fitness levels, which was great. So going back to your first competitive competitive fight. How did, well, first of all, how did it happen? Did somebody just say, right, you know, you're ready, or was it something you said, I want to do this, or, you know, how did that come about?
Oh, again, great question, Ray. Excuse me. So Grandmaster Sken and Master Woody put a show on in Leeds.
Yeah.
And Master Sken said, right, we're going to 1980. So I've been training for 3 years in Muay Thai. Well, I remember it was the end of 77. So
yeah,
about 3 years. We got to the level where obviously Lord Gar was very big at the time. Full contact kickboxing. There's no Thai boxing fights in the UK whatsoever because there's not many Thai boxers. And obviously the rule set is completely different than Kung Fu and karate and, you know, even Kyokushinkai, which is, you know, knockdown karate. There was no ring fights other than kickboxing that you could actually do Muay Thai with. So we had to negotiate with the full contact scene at the time, the kickboxers, the law guard, and anyone that did full contact, that we could fight them. And they fight us Thai boxing. And it was always we're not doing low kicks, we're not going to do knees, we're not going to do elbows, we can't do clinch and sweeps and throws. No. You can fight us full contact karate, which is kicks above the waist, or you can fight low kick kickboxing, which is a little bit sort of emerging then. You can't elbow, you can't knee, you can't clinch, and you have to wear foot pads. And we don't, in Muay Thai, you don't wear foot pads, you don't wear shin pads. We didn't even spar with shin pads. So it was a bit like, okay, so how do we compete? So Master Sken took us down to Birmingham to a massive, there were like 5 or 6 mats in a big sports centre, and we were to fight all these kung fu guys at kickboxing on the mat. So he took a team down. We went down on a coach, got there. I was ready to fight. I sat there, and it was one of those where people got there, weighed in on the day. And it turns out I stepped onto the mat. They announced this guy, and he'd done one. Because what was happening is we was going on the mat, and we were doing pretty well. The only thing we struggled with was getting pushed off the mat because it's a ring sport, so you could use the ropes. So the only thing our only nemesis, or if you want to say weakness, was the fact that we came off the mat and you have to get back on. Other than that, we're basically, and I say this respectfully, but we was beating them all. And I think a few people saw us like in shorts, no shin pads, you know, just with boxing gloves on. And then they were making us wear these foot boots, but we kept our shins bare. And they were wearing shin pads and boots. When they saw us with no shin pads on, they're thinking, are we crazy? So there was there's about 10 of us in this team. And I think 8 of us fought and 2 of us didn't, because I think they'd seen what was happening. We were beating them all. And because of the conditioning and because of, you know, just what we'd learned off Master Sken, you know. And so I goes on the mat and they go, Sandy Holt, you know, Manchester, sitting around camp is a thing. Whatever, Fred Blogs. And I'm stood there like that. So I got a bye, whatever that is. I went and sat out, but I never got to fight. And that was in 80. So the next time I got to fight was 81 in Leeds, and it was in a boxing ring. And I got to fight against one of Master Toddy's fighters. And of course, now it's Thai boxing versus Thai boxing. So this is game on. And, you know, I was nervous as hell, like everyone is on our first fight. Didn't know what to do. I just thought I'll just go in there and do what I've done. And I'll just go out there and blitz him. I'll go for it. We touched gloves. We touched gloves. And I touched gloves. He front kicked me. And I'll never forget this. And his foot hit my solar plexus there. But he must have had slightly long nails. But as he hit me there, I moved back and look, and instantly a bit of blood come off my skin where it must have been his toenail. Didn't hurt me. But you know when you see, you know the saying, you know, you see blood.
And
he does one or two things. Right. So and just absolutely just chased him around the ring for about a minute, just kicking, punching, and he backed up and he just sat down and fell on the floor and they just went over. So it was like a first round TKO. And I was like, is that it? I thought, wow. And then, you know, it's like having your first ever, ice lolly, or your first ever something you've never had before, you know, your first bit of pizza, and you think, oh, wow. Some of that. And that's it. And that just opened the world up to fighting.
Yeah, it's just it was. I mean, great. I'd say a lot of respect for the Thai boxers because of the you know, as I mentioned, it was very close. So I was always quite. I always loved sparring in the class because we didn't again use any shin pads or anything. I always had really strong, well conditioned forearms and shins. My shins are still actually very well conditioned. And I do I do love sparring without shin pads because when people block me, I know they feel it. And so it was a great advantage for me. But of course, that advantage got taken away once sort of middle 80s when people started wearing more pads, and then head guards came in the late 80s, and they were optional at first, and then they became compulsory, and so on. I still hate wearing them. I try not to, but I mean I don't compete as such anymore anyway. But no, that's a great story. Did you feel you know, once you've done that first sort of competition, that first win, you know, were your thoughts right? Okay, I'm gonna, you know, try and take it to the next level in the sense that you could see, you know, some national, international honors, or was it that wasn't even on the radar at the time?
Wasn't on the radar. It was just this.
Yeah.
You know, we'd done all this sparring in the gym, you know, with our team friends and our fellow students and mates, and you know, you just get a taste for something. It just opened a world up, and I didn't see myself ever wearing a belt right in the middle. That was not something, even like you said, on the radar. It wasn't something that I even thought about. It wasn't something that I you know, dreamed of. I just love the training. I love the feeling of the physicality and the, you know, the whole thing that you got from doing martial arts and Muay Thai. You know, and it got to the point where obsession was an understatement because I was training 7 days a week, twice a day. I was working 6 days a week. And it didn't, the reason why I trained so much, a lot of people ask me this question, because when I was training, Master Sken taught in Bolton, like I said, 2 days a week. And then he said, look, I'm too busy. I'm teaching full time in Manchester. If you want to come follow me, and he gave me a, you know, little leaflet of where it was. So I traveled from Bolton to Manchester, which is from my house to the it's called, it was 264 Deansgate in Manchester. And it was the top floor of this building. We used to run up and down the stairs as part of the warm up. And he said, this is where I'm teaching. And, you know, if you want to follow me to Manchester, you can, but I won't be teaching in Bolton there. You only did it for about 6 months there. So and at the time I was still doing karate and jiu-jitsu. So I was doing 3 nights karate jiu-jitsu. And then I was doing these 2 days in Muay Thai. And then I thought, I'm liking this. So I then followed him to Manchester where it was open 7 days. So I went to 3 days of Muay Thai Thai-boxing and 3 days karate jiu-jitsu, and then it went 4-3, then it went 5-2, and then it went 6-1, and then it went 7-0. And you know, respectfully to my teacher, my first teacher, which I'll mention as well, Jeff Whitehead. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have found Muay Thai. So you know, you set off on a road, and where it leads to, doesn't it? So you've got to remember your roots. And you know, God bless him, he's passed away now, Jeff Whitehead. But he was a karate and jiu-jitsu instructor that I used to train with first. Probably 15. And so when I was training in Manchester, I was doing like a 35-mile round trip every single day. But there was guys in Manchester, the elite team, probably the picture that you see of some of the guys in Manchester, Humphrey and Oliver Harrison, the two brothers, William Hilditch, Junior Salmon, some of these absolutely elite fighters, Eddie Thompson or Carl Thompson, who went on to beat Chris Eubank twice. He was a British and European Thai-boxing champion. It's called Carl Thompson, but Eddie Thompson is his original name, but he boxed under Carl Thompson. And he beat Chris Eubank twice. He went on to go into pro boxing, light heavyweight. And we used to all train together, spar together, everything. But these guys were real natural athletes. Same as Philip, my student. I was never natural, Ray, never. And so I had to do twice as much to be as good as them. So they'd go like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'd go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, only to be as good as them. But what worked for me, what I lacked in talent, I made up with hard work. So that equaled me, that gave us a level playing field. And plus I was one of the smallest there. So again, like yourself, sometimes this is an advantage. What is a disadvantage? Because there was only one guy, Junior Salmon. Me and him were the same weight. We both fought at lightweight, which is 60 kilos. He was sort of actually 61 to 60, 61, 62. So very little between us. Me and him often, trained together. But I used to train with, Eddie Thompson, who's like cruiserweight, light heavyweight. Humphrey, who was welterweight, super welterweight. And then there was his brother, Oliver, who was light welter. So these guys were bigger, better, stronger than me. So when I trained with them, it brought me on. So when I come to fight a guy at 60 kilos, it was like, is that it?
Yeah.
Because I was getting hit that hard and training with these guys who were bigger, stronger, harder, faster than me back in the gym. So it gave me an advantage. Because, like I said, I wasn't talented. I had to earn that through hard work. But what it did give me was what somebody else labeled, not what I labeled myself, but they said I was the fittest guy in the gym. But that's because I was putting 7 days a week and I used to train twice a day. Because when I used to work at Warburton, I used to finish at lunchtime, early afternoon. I would then go for a run. I'd go in my dad in the garage. My dad would put a punch bag up for me. I'd go on the punch bag. I'd do loads of press ups, sit ups, squats, body conditioning. Bam, bam, it's in the bag. Like I said, go for a run. I used to do between an hour and a half, 2 hours in the afternoon on my own every day, religiously. And then I'd get some food. I'd have a little cat nap. Because I used to be up very early. I used to start work at 6, 5, 6. So get like an hour's clip, an hour and a half, and then get in my car, drive to Manchester, train for 2 hours, and then go out in Manchester because it's a great place to go out and party. I don't drink, by the way, but I used to go out. This is crazy. I used to go out 6 days a week, nightclub in it. 6 days a week, work 6 days a week, and train 7 days a week. I don't know how I did it. I'm absolutely bonkers, but I'm glad I did because, like I said, I didn't have the talent, Ray. What I did have was the work ethic, and that's what got me through and won my fights.
Youth and enthusiasm. I think that's sometimes people say to me, I say, well, I was young and I was so enthusiastic that, we didn't need sleep at the time. But it's a great story, and I hope that at least some of my students and other students are listening to this take this on board because. I've had a lot of talented students, but, unfortunately, talent minus commitment equals nothing. If you're not committed, then there's no point, and you're not going to do it. It doesn't matter how talented you are, and it will catch up with you. And I say that to my students, that you can start with talent and it'll stand you in good stead. But unless you have commitment, the maths don't stack up. So, I would definitely agree.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's so much, you must have seen this in the years that you've done it, Ray. You'll get some people come into your school, into your gym, excuse me, and it's wasted talent. And, the ones that they rely on the talent too. And then, when talent runs out, hard work takes over, doesn't it?
It does. The thing I like about Thai boxing, and it's the thing I hate about mixed martial arts, which is why I actually don't watch mixed martial arts. I don't really like it. And the thing I don't like about it is the fact that when mixed martial arts first started, and they had taekwondo versus karate, kung fu versus Thai boxing, you could tell who was what, and they were very respectful of each other, and they bowed and they did this. And the thing I love about Thai boxing is how they treat each other. They have the ceremony, and at the end, I mean, they could knock chunks out of it, somebody's bleeding, whatever, and they still give respect to each other. And I love that. I love it.
That's the thing. I think excuse me, I get what I mean. We can maybe touch on this subject. I mentioned George St. Pierre. I don't know if you've heard of him, but if you ever just research him, Google him. He trained with Phil Nurse. And remember, Phil Nurse, I've told you, is one of my best students and the most respectful and humble and disciplined and committed and every single positive word you can think of, epitomizes this man. You can't say enough good things about him because he's done what I was taught. I passed it to him and he now passes it on. And like I said, it got to a point where I couldn't teach him anymore. I trained with 10 years and I said, Phil, you're going to have to train more with Master Sken because I cannot teach you anymore. He superseded me because he actually came in. What Phil has got, he had talent and he's got hard work ethic.
Yes, yeah.
That's unbeatable. So And, you know, when you've got that type of discipline and you use it correctly, and that commitment and that humbleness, which he's got. Now, he passed that on to George St. Pierre, but George St. Pierre already was that martial artist. He's one of the true mixed martial artists because he actually has that. And he doesn't trash talk before or after. And with the fight, he'll go onto his knees and bow. And he always talks the right fight. He doesn't talk the bad fight. And unfortunately, mixed martial arts has lost that. It's got that sort of I don't know how I can describe it, and I don't want to slag it off because, you know, it has been waves in the world. But the one thing, excuse me, and I witnessed it for the first time. Now, I went to my first UFC fight last year in London, and I was very, very shocked at the football fan mentality in the crowd. Watching, and when the British fighters, the English fighters came on, obviously, you know, they're going to get the biggest cheer. But when the opponent came out, whether they were from Sweden, Norway, Germany, irrelevant, got booed. I hate booing. Why would you boo someone? Only the UK. Well, no wonder we have a bad reputation in the world. You know, when you're going to boo someone that's got on the plane, come over here to fight your man, they've actually, you know, all the odds are stacked against them, let's face it. You know, you can only do what you can do. But the most things, you know, you're out of your comfort zone. You're in somebody else's back garden, and everyone's booing you. And I'm not talking about 10 people booing. I'm talking about hundreds, if not thousands, booing you. And I just think, and I'm looking around thinking, I was with my partner Sarah, and we're both like that, and everyone's drinking and stuff, which is fine. But then what I noticed, Buffer, the MC, the end thing, what we do in Muay Thai is, you'll know this because you'll have had this. They'll go and, you know, they bring the two fights to the center after the end of the fight, and they'll go, and the winner in the red corner representing blah blah blah, you know, Fred Smith, you know, whatever. And then what they'll then mention is they say, and ladies and gentlemen, keep your round of applause going for the man in the blue corner, the runner-up on this occasion, Jeff Smith. Great fight, well done. Yeah, they didn't even mention the opponent. FC. They didn't even say, come on, let's give it up for the guy who's come all the way from blah. They didn't even say, and I just thought, that is not a good, even the MC, because the power of the mic, you know, it's like the, you know, the pen is mightier than the sword, and the mic is mightier than the pen, you know. And I just thought, really, you know. And then what got me, which I was really shocked about, was when the local fighter, the English, the British, whatever, beat the foreign opponent, they were throwing beers. And I thought, I've seen them throw beers when the decision goes the wrong way. But why would you throw beer when you win? And I got soaked in beer, which I don't even like. They don't like the smell or the taste. I don't drink. I never have. And I'm thinking, I don't want to be here. I don't like how it's being conducted. I don't like how the bias is. I don't like how the crowd are. And I don't like how the fact is that some of these, like, you know, they're standing over it after they've knocked them out and go growling, and when like as though they want to carry on. Excuse me. You know, martial arts, you know, is, people don't understand the true word and the true meaning of martial arts. You know, it's, you know, martial is military. So it's got to be military. It's a military art done to protect the country, to protect your family, to protect your loved ones, to protect what is. And so when it's misused or misrepresented, then it not upsets me, but I have to not overthink it. Otherwise, it does upset me.
No,
it's not a true representation of what you do and what I do.
No, well, I totally agree. I was this is going back in the middle to late 80s. I can't remember exactly, but I was doing quite well at Taekwondo, and I'd won some internationals and so on. And they called a group of us of different fighters because they wanted. I tell you what it was. They wanted to replace the Saturday afternoon wrestling on TV, and they were sort of trying a few different things, and they tried some martial arts. And we were in a ring, and they put this space age equipment on us. But what they did was we did the fight, and after that, they did it the other way around, as if we hadn't fought. And they said, right, you know, Ray, you're going to fight such and such, you know, what do you think? I said, yeah, he's a lovely guy. I really like him. I respect him. And they go, oh, cut. No, we need you to hype it up and tell us how you're going to punch him. And I said, well, he is a nice guy. I like him. and all of us, we wouldn't play the game. wouldn't play the game. We wouldn't say, oh, I'm going to smash him. He shouldn't be in the ring with me and any of this stuff. We just said, no, they're a really nice guy. I respect what they do. I'm looking forward to, going in the ring with him and competing. And no, they didn't want that. They didn't want it at all. So
it's like it's bad news sells, doesn't it? And good news doesn't. And it's the sad state of the human psyche that you drive down a motorway and there's some car on fire and there's a family stood there like this and everyone's like, if there's a car parked up and somebody's having a picnic, you won't bat an eyelid. It's good news that. So unfortunate, and that's the thing with a lot of Thai boxers. They don't make good interviewers because people want them to say, I'm going to knock him out, I'm going to elbow his face off, I'm going to knee him, I'm going to smash him, I'm going to roundhouse kick him, I'm going to box his head up. The Thai boxers don't do that. Majority don't. They've been taught differently, and but it doesn't sell, and they want to sell. It's all about the dollar. It's all about the pound. It's all about the euro. They want trash talk. Trash makes cash. Yeah, unfortunately. But it's whether you're going to sell your soul to the devil, Ray, and you haven't, and you didn't, and neither will I. We've got standards and principles, and it's good that there are certain people that have been steadfast and that will maintain that. And I like that, and I'm glad that is still there, to be honest, because if it wasn't, then we'd all be involved in the same sheeple people attitude, and the country and everything else would be in a bigger mess than we're already in.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, we're sort of well, two things. We're sort of coming towards the end of the podcast, but what I would love to do, and hopefully you'll come back again and talk to us some more, because it's been a fantastic, interesting talk. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we within that talk, perhaps we can talk about some of your achievements, but maybe we can get some in the show notes and some of the things that you've done in a little bio on you as well. But before we do close, perhaps you can tell us about what are you currently doing? How are you? Obviously, you're teaching. Have you got any ambitions for anything else in the future? I mean, Thai boxing or anything else, by the way.
Thank you, Ray. Well, first of all, again, before we leave, I want to say thanks for this opportunity, because there's platforms like this that, gets a chance to, share with lots of people about who and what we are and what we do. And, it's not about me, it's about what we do. It's such a bigger picture, but for aspirations and things, where I stand at the moment, my gym, Bolton Thai Boxing Club, is one of the longest running full-time gyms in the UK. Like I said, I had my first classes in '83 and had a full-time gym opened in '84, which obviously now, but that's 40 years, which I celebrate. And I will still teach. Like last night, I was teaching some beginners who came in at a children's class, and I had a couple of children for the first time. I had an adult class, I had some adults. I will teach a first timer, and I will teach somebody up to a master level. I'll teach somebody who wants the first into club. I'll teach somebody up to a world champion. I won't just pass it on to my instructors. I like to do from the ground roots up. Never too big for our boots that we can't, still remember who we are and what we should be doing. So my gym is very successful going at the moment. The classes are busy. I think one thing that has come out of COVID, I think it's really taught people that martial arts, there's more to physical exercise than just doing physical exercise, meaning like, going for runs, great, going for a bike ride, going for a swim, going in the gym, going on a treadmill, whatever. But you're not learning a skill. You go to a martial art and you're learning far more than that. You're learning how to develop your mind, your body, your heart, your soul, everything. There's so much that martial arts give. I don't need to tell you, but anyone who's listening who's not done martial arts, there are so many out there that, you should go and try them and find which one suits you. But for me, my gym is doing really well and successful. I've got some great instructors around me, which, really does help. I've got Jussie, she's my first world champion that I ever trained. She's been with me 31 years. I've got Carl Rawlinson. I've got Daz Morris. The instructors that are with me, they're just fantastic. And all my students, in fact, this weekend, in fact, tomorrow even, I've got 7 fighters competing up in Darlington. So, I'm still happy to, stay on that, on that road. I'm not above myself that I feel that, I could just sit back and let somebody else do it. Like yourself, what you said, that good solid work ethic of, keep going. There's a very simple saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I just think, and you will lead by example, do we not? Great believer of that. You know, I keep myself in condition. I look after myself. I train, I exercise, and I think if I can do it, you can do it. I never throw the age card in. And in fact, it's a bit of a joke we've got with everybody in the gym because nobody knows how old I am. And I said, the only people that know how old I am are my mum and dad, and they passed away, so you can't ask them.
Yeah,
but age is a number, not an excuse, is it not? You know, you've got the same work ethic, and everything you've said to me today, that what I'm feeling from you and the energy I'm getting from you, you know, you're an energy giver, Ray, and I'd like to think I'm the same. And we pass this positive energy on to people, and you know, I feel that where I am now, I've achieved far more than I ever thought I would. I'm very humbled, very grateful for what I've been given. And what have I got left to do? I mean, I'm commentating around the world, so I get to talk about what I love doing. So I get to meet people from around the world, and travel makes us wise. You know, I always say to people, travel. You know, there's a bigger world than just the town that you live in. You know, there's a bigger world than the country that you live in, and the culture. You know, the different things that you get to experience by traveling. And I've been blessed with that, whether it's taking fighters or commentating or having fought myself like yourself. You know, travel. I want to continue doing more of that. I love fight commentating. I'll continue to take fighters around as well. And the other thing, one thing I've never done, I've been in a couple of films, I've done, you know, adverts, and I've been in magazines, you know, a book. I think that's probably something that I should think about.
Definitely. Well, I think it would make fantastic reading. I want to say a huge thank you. If you can stay on the call afterwards, and we'll have a chat. But I just want to say thank you very much. I want to, hopefully the listeners will get the same that I've got from you. You've got a beautiful heart and a beautiful soul. And I think one thing I say to my students, you know, is the martial arts is about making you a nice person who will be an advantage to society. And I think, you know, for me, if I can get that into my students and instill in that, I've done my job, regardless of how good or whatever they do. But I just want to instill in that. And I think you are definitely an example of that. So thank you very, very much for giving your time up. Thanks to the martial arts, Living Martial Arts podcast fans. I hope you've enjoyed this. We will be back again with Mr. Sandy Holt with another one. I'm telling you, we will be. All right.
Thank you very much, Ray. It's been an absolute pleasure. I could talk to you for days, my friend. Honestly, it's been a blessing, and have a great day and have a great weekend. Thank you very much. And thank you, all the listeners. Thank you very much.